let's see.
What's in the back?
What page is that?
It's not the way our thing runs.
36, 35.
Okay, hang on a
34.
second.
Follow our packet.
Hang on one second.
What page?
Page 34.
We're gonna start at public safety.
Sorry, we're looking at the wrong sheet here. Okay, first up is Supervisor Brownell,
right.
Public Safety and Criminal Justice.
Move down to here.
Are you going down the table? I'm assuming.
Ernie? That's what Mr. Reinhardt wants.
Well, let's not give them to the crowd.
Call the public safety meeting to order. First up is a Board of Supervisors declares Sheriff Department vehicle as surplus and authorizes a transfer to town. Any questions on it? Pardon? It's 2017.
More than zero. I'm all about, you know, when Waterloo comes through with 1.0, people are gonna say yes to that.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, some of them do need something, but
No, I think that's fine.
Don't say no.
We can't hear you over there.
I
Sorry.
think that's the point, you're not supposed to, eh? Little secret meeting on.
testing.
I don't know if these things are on. Are these on?
Yes.
They're on.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit of noise. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
We're gonna give Fayette, 27, or, what are we doing?
Fayette's getting a used car for no dollars. Yep, we motioned it, seconded it. Aye.
Support.
Aye. Board of Supervisors authorizes the Red County manager to sign an intermunicipal agreement with Monroe County Medical Labor Service.
Second, what is it? How much? We don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, we do it every year, let's just say yes.
Yeah, all right. They get
Made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Any other unfinished business for the public safety?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just one thing I want to bring up to speed, just so everybody knows, still have been meeting with the two ambulance services as far as moving forward with the EMS plan. Nothing is official yet, and we do have some issues we have to get through as far as some finance stuff, but it is moving forward, and everybody's been very receptive.
I know I certainly don't want it on my plate as a town supervisor anymore. No, you don't want one either? Any other supervisors want to deal with this anymore? No? So, that'd be great.
It is moving forward.
It'd be great, the county would take that.
Anything else? Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Next up, Health and Human Services, Supervisor Heisen.
Okay, I'm gonna stay right at our desk. We only have one resolution, so,
Well, everybody's got a microphone.
yeah, and everybody has a microphone too. That works. Okay, Scott, welcome.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Okay. We're ready if you want to, pretty self-explanatory. but-
Okay, yeah, so this is our annual request to post for bids for our annual household hazardous waste event, collection event, and also to request 50% reimbursement from the DEC for that event. Obviously, it's a very popular event with folks in the county. It's been successfully administered by our department, along with a vendor, for over 20 years. The one change for this year is that I intend to put this out and request a multi-year bid, so we don't have to come back annually and ask for permission to look for a contract with a vendor. I'd like to get a 3-year contract if I can, with maybe an extension for, 1 or 2 year extension if they're working out well. We actually reached out to the vendor last year, who's done it the last couple of years, to make sure they would be good with that. And they said that would actually be a benefit to the county because they could schedule us earlier in the year, perhaps. We always get pushed to the fall because folks are in line before us, so, and it might actually save us a little bit of money. And just as a note, annually, this costs the county upfront, say 15, 16, sometimes 17,000, and then we get half of that back. So for $8,000 or less, you're disposing of all sorts of household hazardous waste from folks, or for folks across the county.
So when do you want to bid it out for 3 years?
If this passes committee tonight through the full board, then we'd work with the county attorney to get that RFP out and post it so that we could get bids in early midsummer, something like that. Then award the bid and get lined up for this fall, and then hopefully have that in place for each of the next couple of years.
Okay, very good. Any questions for Scott?
Who has been the previous,
Clean Harbors from Massachusetts, maybe? Or is it out of Maryland? Okay, thank you, David. It's out of Maryland, I guess. Clean Harbors Associates or something they're called, yeah.
okay.
Okay, we got a motion on this?
I made it, didn't I? I'll make it again if I have to.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got
There's a second?
a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any new business, unfinished business, anything? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Economic Development, Tourism, and Housing. Supervisor Jeff Trout.
I think we can stay where we are, we're missing quite a few people. So we'll call the committee to order. See, who is actually on the committee? So we got Bob. and
Ernie.
That's it.
Supervisor Shipley,
Yeah.
Brownell.
Okay, so we've got 3 of us, I think. Okay.
Have a quorum.
So the first thing, you see the, number 1, authorize the snowmobile trail grant.
Motion.
You want to talk,
Second.
Yeah, this is just an annual, we bring this every year. We're currently getting ready to close out the current grant cycle for the program, and starting in June, May and June, we'll be submitting applications for the next round and signing agreements with the snowmobile clubs and cutting checks from the previous cycle, so.
is it pretty well, I don't want to say attended, but used, I guess, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
we've been doing this for a number of years, and yeah, it's been used, and it's not a large grant. Really, it ends up being somewhere around $10,000, gets split between the 2 groups, but they can document their maintenance costs for the year. This is what it's used for primarily.
Any questions for Jill?
I would say their costs aren't excessive this year.
Yeah.
No,
Can you
They got
grant
the,
some
they got the
snow?
signs all up, but
Yeah.
no snow.
yeah, the state's scratching their head a little bit about how they're going to administer this program,
Yeah.
given changes in the season, so.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, resolution proclaiming April 2024 as Fair Housing Month.
Motion.
Second.
I second it.
Second. Joe?
I thought somebody did.
So this is a resolution that comes up every year for proclaiming April as Fair Housing Month. It's a national program to declare April as Fair Housing Month, and starting in 2019, we started holding an event in partnership with Seneca Housing and the Seneca County Housing Coalition for a housing fair during April. So way back in 2019, it was here in the county building. Last year, it was at the Seneca Falls Community Center. And this year, we will be having it at Del Lago on April 16th. And part of the reasoning for doing that is to access their workforce. A lot of the folks that work out there are eligible for a lot of the housing programming that we have available in the county. So there's a bit of a captured audience out there, and that's what we're planning to hold on April 16th.
Any questions for Joe? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And I just want to recognize and thank both Jill and Joe. We've had at least 2 or 3 meetings now, and they really are making quite an effort to make housing a priority, as, you know, the board has directed and declared an emergency. And they're working on a lot of things, and I appreciate all their help and guidance in that. Are there any other new business for the committee? Just one quick sort of update so that all the committee chair, everyone here has been to the committee, but just a reminder that most of the committee is meeting with the Willard Task Force on the 29th. That's at 3 o'clock. And then also on March 5th, we have a meeting with the representative of the Finger Lakes Outlet Mall. And just some other quick kind of recaps. I did have a Zoom meeting yesterday with the folks from, 2 of the representatives from Center State regarding creating an educational pipeline of workers for the potential Micron, not just Micron itself, but the affiliated businesses. And also, I had a meeting with the chamber that I reported on at our special committee meeting this week. Again, looking at and reconsidering where we are in terms of the chamber building. Other than that, the only other item is Sarah. Sarah, did you just want to mention, Sarah and I had probably a lot of town supervisors know that I've been aware that there's a deadline coming up to apply for grants, or I shouldn't say grants, member items through our congressional and Senate representatives. And so we're doing it in Fayette. We've hired MRB to put those out. And then Sarah called today, or maybe yesterday, and we talked about doing that for the county as well. So Sarah, did you want to maybe hit on that?
Sure. So for those of you that aren't aware, Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, and Congresswoman Tenney all have access to federal member items, one of the most flexible categories being their economic development initiatives. And so, as Jeff mentioned, the town of Fayette is applying. I believe the village of Waterloo is applying. But this could be a great opportunity for the county to apply on maybe multiple projects, but specifically with Willard. As most of you are aware, the county intends to issue an RFP this year. Indications from MRB Group have been that that could happen anywhere between maybe April and August of this year. And that is a necessary precursor to determine what type of development would be moving forward there. And in order to initiate final title transfer with the state, there does have to be a preferred developer and a seeker procedure. And so the thought was to maybe have the county apply for some of this congressionally directed spending to help pay for the generic environmental impact statement that will be needed as part of the seeker process for the Willard transfer.
So Sarah, how do we, or others, how do we actually do that?
So there are portals. Both the senator's offices have released the online application portals. They're pretty simple. It would be good practice to get letters of support. So if the county is applying, if each town could submit a letter of support, the IDA would. We would reach out to other representatives and see what we can get to help this project. but it's a pretty simple application. It's just laying out the project name, all of the details that we have, which the county has that website right now with all of the information from the RFEI and the highest and best use study. We can point to all of the spending that has already been put in on Willard in terms of the highest and best use study, the RFEI, the commitment that the county has made as far as future ARPA funds. And then we can also point to the state's investment and the heating and everything that they've been doing in maintenance of the facility. And essentially say that that is our commitment to redevelopment efforts, and that's why, you know, the feds should contribute.
Gotcha. So, and thank you, Sarah. So more specifically, though, would we ask the IDA to do it? Should we ask MRB to do it? Because, I mean, physically, someone's got to actually do this, so.
So I can be flexible. My staff is happy to support and to actually take point on leading the application and submitting it as the IDA on behalf of the county. I believe planning has some experience, not to, you know, commit them to anything, but planning has done some of these applications before. So whichever is, you know, the easiest path or path of least resistance, we're happy to help.
All right, so, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll be taking point in this as well with Sarah, and I'll talk with planning tomorrow. But
All right.
we actually did approach, we spoke about this briefly today, so
Okay.
we'll come up with a game plan together. And it's kind of a short time frame, but
Yeah,
we're gonna work
it's
through it and hopefully get
definitely
this
short.
done.
All right, so I'll tell you what, just make sure that we know and that, you know, keep me in the loop, and then that way, if we have to reach, everybody working together, and then if we have to reach out to MRB or whatever, because I mean, they've got this, not that you guys don't, but they've got this down.
Yep.
I mean, that's how we got, awesome, okay. Any questions about that?
Yeah. Along those lines, this might be the time to apply for enough money to fix the water lines that are leaking at the depot for the last 20 years. I say it every year, but I think the county should put that application together and submit it. Dave?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, great. Any questions for Sarah? All right, thanks, Sarah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joe and Jill, thank you. All right, any other business? Then the Economic Development, Tourism, and Housing Committee is adjourned.
Thank you. Next up, we have Human Resources and Government Operations, and tonight we have Supervisor Reinhardt.
Lucky you. Just they gave you the shortest one. See the next one? Yep.
Can you hear me, Bob?
No. Get that microphone next to your mouth.
Can you hear me, Bob?
Yes. This time we'll call the Human Resources Government Operations Committee to order. Issue 1, Vacancy Committee met on February 13th and approved the following positions, and these are committee approval only. These are all refills. DHS Social Welfare Examiner, Finance, Senior Account Clerk, Mental Health, a Senior Mental Health Clinical Therapist, also a Mental Health, a Typist. In Planning, we have a Planner and a Senior Planner. And in Public Health, we have a Public Health Nurse, Registered Nurse. Is that a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead.
We're gonna be,
Still being discussed as to how that's going to look. But it is in discussion. Item 2. I'm sorry. I said all in favor. I'm sorry. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Board of Supervisors amend Seneca County Policy 101.407 Motor Vehicle Rules and Regulations for Seneca County Vehicles. Motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion? Cheryl, go ahead.
Good evening. So we took a look, we've been taking some look at some policies. Motor vehicle and driver policy was one of them. This policy was last enacted in, I believe, August of 2007, so it's been a good, we're about 16 and a quarter years in. You know, these policies are living documents and they just require review and updating, and we'd like to update that policy. I've put a sample in there of the policy that we would like to, most of it is the original policy with some new verbiage, that was recommended on behalf of our insurance company, NYMER, to bring us more into the best practices recognized by the insurance industry at this juncture. So, along with that, we have also decided that it would be a good idea to bring it up to date as with other municipalities and enter into using the LENS program. The LENS program is the License Event Notification Program. It's used by almost every one of our surrounding municipalities. Best part about it is, I won't call it free, because nothing is free, but it's complimentary for a municipality, so we pay nothing. It's a zero-cost solution. We don't run licenses, it only notifies us if there's an event that is disqualifying under our policy. So you set it up for certain parameters. Nobody cares about a minor speed ticket, that's not what we're looking for. You know, the major events that can happen, suspension, revocation, DWI, those type of items, and then it's not a punitive policy. This is a policy where we would work with employees to counsel them to try to find alternative arrangements if they've lost their license and they're in a position where they're driving as part of their job. Then it's not our job to be punitive, it's our job to have safe people driving our vehicles. So I think our obligation is to protect the public at large by making good decisions about the people we put behind the wheel of our vehicles, and also, of course, to protect the county from any litigation as a result of incidents. As we all know, there's always litigation. So we're just a litigious society, and at this juncture, I think it would be a good time to update this policy. And I propose what you have in front of you.
So what is, let's say new hires, who are assigned here, if they get some sort of training in this policy, so they know on a basis?
So we are kind of toying with, in the safety committee, which is reconvening, about doing a greater orientation, where we would try to wrap that into an orientation, like, rather than doing a fill out your paperwork, many organizations, and this is a little off subject, but many organizations do a whole day, a week, or half a week of general orientation, then a specialized orientation, depending on what department you're going to. And I would think that that would be something that would be very important to touch on, especially for those individuals that driving is a requirement of their job. It really is a professional thing to drive when you do it for a living. We transport small children in this county and people with disabilities. So kids are loud, and there can be a lot of distractions these days. I mean, we've all done it. So yes, I think that would be a great idea.
I think that is a great idea, support that instead of, as opposed to just, hey, here's this policy, read it and sign at the bottom.
Okay, great.
Michelle, one question. I know LENS does the serious violations, DWI suspensions, but this does not supersede the other departments' policies that require employees to report any infractions if they
No.
do it, right?
No, it does not. In fact, in the policy, there is still a self-reporting responsibility to both their department head and the Department of Risk Management, so that we're aware. I mean, we would rather they self-report it than LENS tell us, right? Because that's, it's not the desired outcome to have to call you upstairs or have Laura call you upstairs and say, hey, we got this report and the policy says you're supposed to self-report. The first course of action is that we entrust that our employees will let us know when they've had an event. If that doesn't occur, then we have to address it at that point. And again, on an individual basis with not only department heads, but also with union reps, so that everybody's on the same loop and in the same loop.
Are there any other questions regarding this resolution? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good. Carried.
Thank you very much.
Issue 3, Board of Supervisors approves the creation and filling of one full-time DHS caseworker position.
Motion.
Just so everybody knows, when these went through vacancy, part of it was that they found their own funding within their budgets for these positions. So I think that's important to put out there. Are there any questions regarding this position? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good. Issue 4, Board of Supervisors approves the creation and filling of 3 full-time social welfare examiner positions. discussion. Same thing, they found the money for this within their budgets. Yes, but these are not under grants.
The reason it's HELP is that is the state program that's, does not require civil service exams, it's non-competitive appointments. Yeah.
Yep. I was on it anyway, I knew. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Issue 5, Board of Supervisors approves the creation and filling of one part-time social services investigator position.
Motion.
Any questions regarding this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Issue 6, Board of Supervisors approves the hiring above start rate for the first assistant district attorney position and changing the grade of the first and second assistant district attorney positions.
Okay.
Is there any discussion on this? Correct.
Position.
Yeah, the district attorney was having a hard time recruiting at the current pay grade.
And I just would like to throw out also that I looked at the prior AMTech questionnaires that were filled out before, and I did my own. I didn't look at what they had. And basically, what the resolution attests to is I'm in full support of that. And I think that the person who initially, the company lowballed them.
You know, and again, this money was found within his budget.
That's good.
I can't speak to that. If you, Mr. Navager might be able to answer that better.
No, it's actually been part of the problem. At the posted rates, I haven't gotten any interest. I am hopeful. I've been out, frankly, I've been doing some headhunting. At some of these numbers, I'm still getting some rejections, but I'm hoping that being able to advertise at this rate is going to cast a much wider net. So I'm hopeful. Thank you.
John, do both of these positions require county residency?
The first assistant does. Because of by operation of law, if I were to become incapacitated, that person would become the acting DA. So they would have to live within the county representing the geography to which, they represent for me as an elected official. The second assistant, I believe, currently is required for contiguous county. So particularly with the first assistant, because that does require actual county residents, that makes it even more difficult. I had one gentleman that was considering it, but decided that he couldn't uproot his 2 teenage girls and come to Seneca County, and it's hard to argue with that.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Any other discussion regarding issue 6? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Issue 7, along the same lines, Board of Supervisors approves changing the grade for the first and second assistant public defender.
Second.
This is the same argument that we just had. Again, the money was found within the existing budget, and a lot of that is state funded, so we're good there.
Actually, I can update you. We had a meeting today with ILS, because we've now started budgeting for the next 3 years with the ILS funding. And they had indicated after looking at those increases, they were very happy to see it. They said that moving into those grades is what they're seeing all across the state, and they don't see any problem with moving some funds around in those next 3 years to cover the increase. So I don't think it'll cost the county on least money.
Any other discussion on issue 7?
I am almost fully staffed, and I'm hopeful that I'll be able to fill the last one with these great changes. Thank you. Yep.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there any unfinished business for HRGO? Is there any new business for HRGO? Hearing none, HRGO is adjourned.
Thank you.
You're not going anywhere, Mike.
Yeah, he's going to stay right there. Public Works, Supervisor Reinhardt.
Public Works doesn't take long, you just approve everything.
This time we'll call Public Works Committee to order. First issue, Board of Supervisors authorizes county manager to award Kimball Incorporated for the LEC boiler replacement.
Aren't we always replacing a boiler? At the LEC?
Not the LEC, just all the other old buildings that we have.
I feel like boilers are just on high demand around this county.
Is there any other discussion around this? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Issue 2, Board of Supervisors authorizes the county manager to sign the contract with Air Temp for the Seneca County LEC make-up air unit replacement.
Second.
Bob, anything on this?
Just standard replacement equipment, 18-year-old building, everything's come to the end of its life. So,
We need it?
standard, it's budgeted for, we budgeted, we knew last year this was gonna happen. We may be budgeting again for next year because we have 2 more air handlers that are gonna be up.
No way.
Keep buying stuff.
Is there any other discussion on this? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Issue 3, Board of Supervisors approves surplus items approved for auction.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Board of Supervisors extends lease for 1 year with the Rochester Genesee Regional Transit Authority.
Support.
Any discussion? What's going on with the building, Bob? It's like kind of stopped.
I'm sorry.
RTS.
I couldn't tell you, I wasn't part of that project, I was,
I see it's
previous
kinda
management,
stopped, that's why I
so.
didn't know.
I don't know if they ran out of money or if they're waiting for warmer weather. Couldn't tell you.
Jesus, warmer weather.
They're contractors. They're contractors. Oh, look, another one. Then you go back to this one.
Could be a winter shutdown, or they could be waiting on additional steel.
Steel, I would say steel probably.
They got I-beam, they got the I-beams there, but they don't have.
Brothers is making a fortune off them right now.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Board of Supervisors authorizes the acceptance of the CREST grant from the Dormitory Authority, State of New York.
Support.
Any questions?
Is this to house Mexicans down in Willard? Oh, is it? That's what I'm thinking.
You and everybody else.
I don't believe so, no.
All right, they're going to the Army depot now. We're putting them in the bunkers.
All those in favor?
Aye. They call them migratory workers, I believe.
Board of Supervisors supports accessibility renovations of the historic Seneca County Three Bears Courthouse and commits ARPA funds to undertake the project.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Issue 7, Board of Supervisors supports restoration and repairs of the historic Seneca County Courthouse and commits ARPA funds to undertake the project.
Second, how much money have we spent on the Three Bears building in the last 5 years?
The last 5 years, just the last project that we just did, that was the ADA compliance. I'd have to look up the total dollar amount. Haley, do you have?
A lot is.
This is
an
just for,
understatement.
this was just for the elevator for ADA compliance, okay?
It was 374,000.
374,000.
Do we have a meeting
That was
there
it.
once a year?
It's the board's pleasure.
Yep, it is. I tried to, and you would have thought I was the Antichrist. Yep.
I mean, you're not?
I might be, but this is still a good idea for the taxpayer.
But just so we're on item 6, Bob, correct me if I go wrong.
Sorry.
That is the grant from Senator Palmisano?
Correct. That was the 75 that was supposed to be allocated for the bathroom renovations. That funding was short because of other A&Es that weren't calculated into the project, so we chose at that point not to use that funding. Now we want to revisit that to get the ADA bathrooms and be able to use this grant funding.
I think, we should thank Senator Palmisano
Yes,
for
absolutely.
that money.
Absolutely.
So the ARPA funding on that, I believe, was 50, that ARPA had to make up.
That's what we had discussed on borrowing, was 50 from ARPA to continue to move forward with that project.
And then 7 is the cupola.
Yes.
So, just so we
Yes.
know the projects that we're talking
Yes.
about.
Yep.
Issue 7 for the Three Bears is the cupola project.
Correct.
Is there any other questions on that? Issue number 8, Board of Supervisors authorizes budget amendment to increase a local share of the Marshall Road Bridge Capital Project. Is there a motion? Support. Roy?
Yes, we did not get the Marchicelli funding for this, so the county's got to come up with the cost, so we'll take it out of CHIPS. So there's no cost to the county. I think it's 62,500, but we're going to ask for 100,000, up to 100. Okay?
Is there any questions regarding this? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Issue 9, Board of Supervisors approves day automation yearly service contract agreement.
Support. This is our standard HVAC accessibility and controls for all four of our buildings at this point. Standard contract.
Is there any other questions regarding this? With a motion and support, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Is there any unfinished business?
Do we have to vote? Did we vote on issue 7? I don't remember us taking the vote. I remember us making.
You didn't.
Yeah, I went back because you asked about,
How much money we spent on that building?
is there any unfinished business? New business, I have one item, I'm gonna hand this to, I asked, this has some bid information, so please don't be yelling out numbers. I would ask you that. The board voted last month to go to bid on the projects of the OFA move, the executive area, and the atrium. There has been discussion amongst board members about the boardroom that was talked about once but just kind of went away. We have a tentative cost estimate from the architect. All the work has been done. We did this once before for this room. What I am asking is not that we approve the room, because we can't do that here, but we're going out to bid anyway, so I think it makes sense to put the boardroom as an alternate bid.
Yep.
Because this project's being bid as the OFA, and then the security project, which is a different.
Right, we listed everything out. We broke the project down so that you could see that the savings that we would have would be in the gray, if you can see that on your paper there.
So if you look at where it says Board of Supervisors renovations, that number where it says architect, engineering, and soft cost fees,
That would come down.
that number will come down greatly if we bid this, if we go to do the supervisor room, we bid it as a full project. That number will go down greatly. I can't tell you exactly what it'll go down to, but according to the architect, it will go down greatly.
All in the bidding world, that's what we're hoping for, that when the bids are coming in, we can take a look at what everything comes back at. If still not satisfied, we don't have to do it. It's an alternate. We can toss alternates out all day long.
So what I'm asking the committee is to have a resolution to go to the board at the next board meeting authorizing this to also go out to bid. Again, not committing the work, not committing to anything, but just to get the bid price, and then the board can make the decision what they want to accept as alternates. They can accept all of them, none of them, some of them.
I think it was Melissa Taylor had a 911 grant at some point to make this room and update it if there was an emergency. And then Churchill was upset because it was still our money because it was New York State, but we had enough to update the desks, the microphones.
That would have made this like another EOC? Yeah.
We had money for that and for renovations for our new emergency operations center and all that.
Ship sailed. There's no way to sum
Bring
it
it
back.
So again, I'm not asking to commit to the project. I'm just asking to bid it as an alternate since we've already done the engineering work on it, and then the board can make the decision once the bids come back what they want to do. So what, under new business, so Dave, we can just create the resolution for the board in 2 weeks? Okay. So I guess the resolution is to bid the Board of Supervisors renovation as an alternate 3 to the existing OFA renovation bid. Is there a motion?
Motion.
All those in favor? Okay. Is there any other new business? Can I get these back, please? Is there any other new business? Hearing none, Public Works is closed. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Agricultural and Environmental Affairs Supervisor Cronewater.
You want me to come over? All right. Do it over there. Perfect.
We're all three in a row here.
Say it right here.
We're all right here.
We have our own table.
Your microphone.
And a microphone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll open Agriculture and Environmental Affairs. Issue number 1 is Board of Supervisors directs advertising public hearing on recertification of agricultural district number 12.
I'll support that.
I'll make second.
Want to say anything, Jill?
Only that, we've been going through this process for about a year and a half. Reviewing agreed that this is the final review that we'll be doing. And yeah, public hearing needs to be set, and it covers the areas of Covert, Lodi,
Romulus.
and Ovid. So, and we'll have maps out to each of the supervisors prior, so you can see what's being recommended, and it'll also be reviewed by the Agricultural Board prior to acceptance.
The end is near.
The end is near,
Right.
in about a year and a half.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would just note at the Ag Enhancement Board, we looked at those maps, and I'd suggested that we remove Willard from the Ag District, because that was included, so for some odd reason, that was included, and it didn't,
It's an agricultural district.
yeah, so it didn't really make sense, so, yeah.
Part of that is, I mean, it was part of that.
Yeah, but it's not now. Currently, of all the acreage, none of it's being farmed, so. We checked with Harriet, but we checked with, Harriet and,
Judy,
Sarah, I
right?
think Sarah, yeah,
Okay.
so.
So, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
just,
that's a recommendation.
note.
You'll certainly, the maps will come to you for review. Again, the Ag Enhancement Board will make recommendations to the board, and if there's any last-minute changes, after you see the maps, we can certainly make adjustments.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Is there any other discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No opposed? Motion passed. Number 2, appoint Michael Reynolds and Jeffrey Trout to the Seneca County Soil and Water Conservation District Board.
I'll make the motion.
Guess I got to second it.
Yeah.
Any discussion here? Will you guys do it?
Oh, yeah. In fact, Mr. Chairman, we're, just kind of a heads up, I talked to Aaron, we're going to probably do I don't know that's a joint presentation, but a presentation at the Cuga Lake Watershed Network. It's not really a conference, but workshop in May. It's supposed to be at the Canoga Fire Hall sometime in May. There's not a date set yet, so I wanted to make sure you knew about that.
Yeah, I'll make sure I get a memo. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Appointment of Board of Supervisors representative to the Seneca County Cornell Cooperative Extension Board. Jeffrey Trout's name has been brought up.
I'll make the motion on this one.
I'll second it.
You good with that, Jeff?
Amen.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Yes, and you too, Mike.
It's a great group.
Previous resolution.
Tell them what they want.
More words.
Seneca County Board of Supervisors supports adoption of the Harmful Algae Bloom Monitoring and Prevention Act. Representative Rachel May came up with this Harmful Algae Bloom Monitoring and Prevention Act, S8356, and Assembly 8867. It's state's finally paying attention to our HABs, and this is an act that will monitor it, fund helping to remediate them.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay, motion carried. Is there any unfinished business? Any new business? Ag environments, all closed up.
Thank you very much. Next up, water and sewer treatment management operation. Supervisor Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call the Water Sewer Treatment Management and Operations Committee to, whatever. Order. Yeah, that'd be the word. So, we do have some updates, on the generator that is being replaced at the Willard Treatment Facility, Sewer Treatment. You want to give them, or do you want?
Yeah, looking for Mr. Stuck.
Okay. So, Frank Cardozo now is, we've got the pad in. We've got the pipes in for the wiring. He's going to be finishing up his wiring from the pad to the panels. And on March 6th, hopefully on March 6th, we will be getting the generator in. And then all the connections should be done on the generator by the 8th. And then shortly after that, startup. So that's where we're standing right now. As long as the trucking company sticks to their March 6th, we should be looking good by, I would say, the 12th of March, so that we can start up on that generator.
Good, pretty quick turnaround, really.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. The one we ordered was in stock.
In stock.
We just had to do some parts, swapping out some components to get what we needed. I don't know if you wanted to discuss the old generator at this point, or are we gonna
We'll have to
see how we're
we'll have
gonna
to check on that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Other than that, that's all I have to report right now on the generator water treatment plant.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Another thing, we just got some email yesterday for Route 414, 318 sewer O&M charges
Yep. They're
going up
changing the rates.
significantly.
Yeah, so, the county attorney's actually been working on this for a little bit. He came up with a little bit more of a comprehensive explanation as to what happened, why it happened, and where we're currently at with the situation.
The email was not that clear.
Yeah.
Very simply, we did have a meeting, Mr. Sosha, the town manager, Supervisor Schmitter, and a representative from Barton LaJudas called a meeting with us back at the end of January. It appears that due to some personnel turnover and some other issues, their tracking and billing was a little out of sync down at the town of Seneca Falls. Back when we put the 318 line in and became operational, the county, on behalf of the 318 district, entered into a operation and maintenance contract with the town of Seneca Falls. I was quite surprised, at least in my initial reading of the memo from Mr. Sosha, is our contract is still in effect. It will run through the end of toward the end of, I believe, May of 2025. And there are provisions for discussions. I'm not going to get into any reasons why there were no discussions of any issues with their charges or expenses. That's beyond my scope. But I'm going to, if the board or the committee wishes to do so, Red recommended that we schedule a meeting with the town as soon as possible and try and address some of their concerns and look at the options, because I still don't think that they quite fully understand how the operation of the 318 and now the 414 lines were to work with the town. And this has a significant impact, obviously, for the town of Junius and the town of Tyre. And so we would need hopefully, depending on the initial conversation, then we may need to have further input.
Does this affect the 318 also?
It is the three. I mean, you have to remember.
You were calling it 414.
It's 318, 414 line, and the agreement, and so as you're well aware, everything that's collected on the 318 line funnels into the 414 line at McGee's Corners and then is processed down to the town. The original contract provided for the town of Seneca Falls to handle the billing, to handle the basic operations and maintenance over for both, particularly once 414 became our property. Despite some effort, we tried to get or at least made noise about trying to get another agreement with the town when we actually took over the 414 line, but that didn't happen, again, for reasons beyond my scope. So that will have to be part of the discussion. But the simple answer is that 318 has to pay O&M for their own line, and they contribute to the O&M for the 414 line. 414 users have to contribute to our cost for running those. And the town of Seneca Falls was still supposed to be responsible for the administration of the billing. And again, there's been some issues with that. We were not aware of that until we started asking some questions at the end of the year. And then that was when the town came out to meet us back at the end of January.
Do they want to stop doing it?
I don't think they want to stop doing it. They just want to get the money straightened out. And we need to see how they came up with the figures that were in their proposal.
Are they scary? Yes.
Kind of.
Scarier than barracks.
I'll say that it is significant enough that we need to look at where their numbers are coming from, and/or certainly we could, there are other options for the O&M on the lines. I mean, we don't have to necessarily pay Seneca Falls personnel to go out and check, monitor things. There's obviously somebody like Yaws who does the run of the plant. They have the capability to do something like that. So it's the only thing they have to do. They process they have to process the sewage, but that's based purely on their water rates. So that's not a cost to the county per se.
Dave, do they do any, have we got any bills that are just estimated billing from them, or is it all just straight off the water charge?
When we talk about we get bills for the O&M.
Yep.
And I cannot honestly tell you one way or the other whether we're getting estimates or, like I said, we started asking questions at the end of last year.
Okay.
And that was part of the function of the January meeting, was for them to describe they were having some issues themselves. And this is their first pass at trying to get back under control.
Okay.
The system still operates. Everybody on the 318 line and the 414 line, excuse me, have to be served by municipal water because the sewer costs are based on water use.
Right.
And so the Village of Waterloo, who handles the billing for everybody that has water on the 414 and 318 line, they take their billing, their use numbers and forwarded that to the town of Seneca Falls. The town of Seneca Falls would then take that, calculate the sewer bill, and then add on the additional charges.
That's my concern. I don't want to bash the Village of Waterloo, but some of the Village of Waterloo and some of the districts I have are estimated bills. And that stuff has a tendency to get a little crazy. So if you're seeing crazy numbers, I'd be more concerned that the estimated billing versus the actual usage might be contributing to that chaos.
And the issue that we have is we don't see the individual bills that go out to, say, to the outlet mall or to Martin's or to the Petro. The county does not see those bills. We get essentially a summary
right.
that accounts for this amount of usage of water, this is what the O&M that they take, and this is the amount of money that we take.
Yep.
And it's a difficult situation that they were put in, and as I said, we started asking questions at the end of the year because they'd ask, we weren't in a position to ask any questions earlier than that.
Yeah, my only concern is if it looks funky and, it gets way out of line, sometimes the estimated billing and different things like that go on are the contributing factor.
I mean, I see the same thing in my NICEAG bill is estimated 1 month and.
Jesus, don't even get us started.
And we won't go there, but anyway. Simply the point being for the purposes of the committee is we need to get in contact with them and start having some actual discussions as opposed to pushing this down the road.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Dave,
Sir.
when this was formed, there was supposed to have been a committee from Tyre, Junius, and Seneca Falls two-man committee. That was never done, was it?
No, sir.
It should be done, shouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's-
When you get the meeting set up, then we'll discuss that.
As I said, this part's essentially started off as purely the two-part, the town and the county, because that's the operation and maintenance. But what Mr. Socha's memo, and we'll go ahead and send that, I don't know if you got, I think you did get a copy of the memo, I know.
I got something yesterday, I haven't seen
Came in
yet.
late yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
When they started talking about rates and other things, that's where the intermunicipal agreement has to come in. The agreement between the town of Seneca Falls and the county is within the IMA, but it's a standalone contract on itself.
Okay,
But we
thank
do
you.
need, there does need to be some effort to make sure that the IMA committee actually functions again. All right? Anything else?
Yeah. Or it might, Dave, it might involve you. So, can I move to a different topic, Mr. Chairman?
Well, just can go to any topic you.
I just wanted to check, especially with Dave here, so my town board approved paying the arrears as proposed over, and I took the idea from Bob, a 5-year time frame. My question was then, if we do that, Dave, is there an agreement that we would, would we write it up? Would the county write it up? How would that work?
If that's your proposal, then we would put together a memorandum of agreement.
Okay, so.
Obviously, this is the first I've heard of that.
No, I wanted to, since our last board meeting, I took it to them, they've approved it, so a 5-year repayment plan, yeah,
We would do a memorandum of agreement.
okay. All right.
That's the same way that.
I think, 'cause Bob, isn't that what you wanted, or?
I never said anything.
Oh, okay, all right. All right.
That's what that, that's.
Maybe it
what
was
I-
you, all right, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I discussed that with our board.
Okay,
Same way.
all right. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other updates?
We have our standing meeting with Wendell Hall, Brian's on vacation out of town, so we don't have the last update. So the one coming up, we'll have our continual update to see where we're at with everything that's happening, with those water lines, as well. Also, I would like to say that we've had 0 applicants for our position that we've created.
Really?
I would like to apply.
That means you gotta resign.
So I will resign for $91,000 for that. Yep, not a problem.
Then you gotta address this board all the time.
I would love to come to this board for $91,000 a year for that job.
Maybe we'll both take it.
Shit, y'all split it with you.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, good.
No more voter
You
self.
guys are already on the committee, so what are you gonna do when we put you?
We're gonna
two
quit
of
for
you-
that much money to do that job?
Well,
You
you're
serious?
assuming we'll hire you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
really.
assuming you're gonna get the job.
Listen,
I
you
don't know
gotta-
where
you
that
gotta hire
comes
me
from.
first. I ain't quitting beforehand. This ain't my first rodeo.
Assuming facts, not in evidence.
Right.
Wow, you're
So-
really assuming a lot there, Dad.
I'm not college educated.
I know, you got a couple masters in hard knocks, don't you?
Yeah, I know how to run water districts and sewer districts.
Yeah, that's all you need, the experience like that.
Yeah.
So,
And you've
Mr.
done
Chairman,
that rodeo a couple of times.
Mr. Chairman, any suggestions then, or Kyle, any suggestions about that position?
We've cast a pretty wide net. We've sent this out to our constituents in Weldon and MRB as well. They have different avenues for folks that they know in different groups, specifically water sewer communities out there across the nation. I've even sent it out to fellow administrators all over the place, and we've had nothing.
So our reputation got around.
See, when you guys had come to one of our meetings on a different night and found out you didn't like it, none of you guys came back, that was the word that went out. See, remember that.
I think our reputation preceded us decades before we got here.
All right, that's it? That's the last update?
That's the last update.
All right.
I'm just wondering, maybe, change the requirements to meet the job better than,
Requirements.
bachelor, if you have,
Is that
you
There's
know,
no,
you
there's
had-
no college education in that requirements or any of that stuff. It's
Yeah,
what
you
would
had-
be nice, but it's not required.
Oh.
There's a lot of requirements that aren't, there's nice stuff, but nice to have, but not required stuff, so.
The way I read it, it looked like, you know, you had to have a bachelor's in this and
Oh, that would be nice if you had one, but it's not required.
doctorate.
Pretty stringent.
Yep, you could use a doctorate.
So the way it was written, there's experience in lieu of.
Yeah, I read that part.
Yeah, a number of years, 10, 20
Yep.
years experience. Obviously, we're just looking for somebody that
Right, Laura?
has the administrative experience, managerial experience, somebody that has the capability to
Right.
understand water and sewer system. So the way we kind of generically wrote it as well is you don't necessarily have to have a ton of specific water and sewer experience as long as you've had areas that kind of touch those topics that we can work with that.
None of the guys that work with YA would apply for that?
I'm gonna apply right now if you give me the application.
It's online.
Actually, all right, so,
I like online.
oh my God. Laura, could I ask Laura? So let's say we wanted to change how much leeway, Laura, do we have in changing the,
Description.
Criteria?
criteria? But we won't run into some civil service stuff, or? Is that because it's management or direct, or just? Okay. All right, well, that helps. All right, thank you, Laura.
All right,
Are you
any other?
asking for that to maybe be reviewed at
think-
HRGO?
We'd have to go back.
Or
and
at the water sewer meeting.
Right, we'd have to go back and we could redefine it and then have to send it back through.
Through HRGO? Okay, all right.
If I can find it, you're about to have an application right now.
We'll just make it so Don can apply, okay? So,
Apply right now.
Crayons.
Listen, for that much money, I'm gonna hire an assistant that can type and do all that fancy stuff you guys like.
All right, any other unfinished business? Any new business? All right. Water Sewer Treatment Management and Operations Committee is adjourned.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much.
Next up is Ways and Means. Supervisor Brownell, you're at the helm tonight.
Good luck. Stay here or go down there?
Right up there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We call the Ways and Means Committee to order. Number one, the issue in turn, county financial reports.
So this is just for discussion purposes only. The committee should have copies of the financial reports that were handed out to them. Specifically, the 2023 total revenue and expenditure report for the AUD character by fund. I wanted to bring to your attention that you can see the sales tax figure, that's the second line under the non-property tax line. You see that we had in excess of our original budget, and that we are going to be able to share approximately $1.5 million. And I have some of those estimates with me, but until we actually go through the audit, it's not a published figure. So I just wanted to let you know that. You can see under the money and property line where we only budgeted $143,000. That's our interest. We actually brought in $569,000 in interest. So we have an excess of $425,000 there. Otherwise, strictly speaking, you can see the encumbrances have all now rolled forward. We are now into period 13. And with that, we are in the midst of doing our revenue claiming for the fourth quarter. It's underway. And we are also then balancing grants that then may need to roll forward. So these are not final numbers per se. We have not closed 2023 yet. And I just wanted to give you that update. But be that as it may, we are also still doing some budget transfers, which we'll get into my item number 2. So if you had any specific questions about 2023, feel free to contact me, let me know. I did run you the same version of these reports for 2024, for you to just get a sense of comparisons of where the original budget and how the grants that are starting to roll forward, you're going to start to see those come in as those transfers in that second column, just so you can see how that affects the next year's operations. So if nobody has any questions specifically about those, we can move on to item number 2.
Any questions? I hear a second. A motion?
Motion.
Motion to accept?
It's a discussion only, right?
It's just discussion only.
They're not resolutions, they're discussion only.
Yeah, item number 1 was discussion only, but,
Okay. Go ahead.
so number 2 is our budget transfer resolution for our 2023 budget still, where we are still getting some bills that are coming in. I know note number 1, it was public health got another bill regarding the preschool contractual line, so we are asking to use some money from transportation, but at this point of the year, we've been really using up resources there, so we're asking for $34,000 from contingency. Note number 2 is the assigned counsel program. Because of that increase of the 18B assigned counsel rates, that's causing us to have to shift some things within the budget. We're short, based on these estimates, by about $1,800 that we want to take from contingency as well. And then note number 3 is the DHS budget adjustments. Again, we've gotten some late in the day chargebacks for OCFS chargebacks. That's the $201,000 that we want to take, decrease from the child care contractual line into the OCFS chargebacks. And then $51,300 from the juvenile care contractuals into the Committee on Special Education. And then we're going to use what we have in the MMIS Medicaid line, $210,000 for another OCFS chargeback. These are bills that the state pushed through to us late in the day, but we have funds in other contractual lines, so we're not having to use fund balance. We're still within our current 2023 budgeted items. Note number 4 is highway, where the road machinery line in the construction, the highway construction line needed to have some, I think we finished up charging back road machinery for chips. Is Roy still here? Yeah. And so we had extra money in the equipment rental and the project line, and then we are going to take it out of the chips line down into road machinery. This allows us, because we upped our machinery rates, that we can charge back to chips. We're moving some of this funding from the 4.0 fund over into the 5.0 road machinery fund. So this will allow us to set aside funds to replace some of that equipment that we use in these construction projects with chips. Note number 5, the OFA budget. We had some extra food costs and under other fees and services that we needed to cover, but we were able to do that all within her existing budget. The note number 6 is our unemployment budget line. We haven't actually been charged unemployment since pre-COVID, so it wasn't budgeted for, and this year we had this $15,870 come through that we want to use some of the contingency money to cover that. And then note number 7, I know I've had previously mentioned to you that the retirement lines were not funded for various different reasons. At the end of the year, we waited until we could see where our vacancies fell, where our other fringe benefits fell, and this note number 7, we were able to cover any of the retirement shortfalls with other fringe benefit lines, mainly the health insurance line. Because we had sufficient vacancies in some of the larger departments, we did have specifically the sheriff's LEC health insurance and the DHS health insurance were the two largest lines you see there that are covering some of these other retirement lines in some of the other departments that fell short. And then note number 8, the Sampson Cemetery budget, that is the budget that we have the contract with the state to do some of the continuing operations. We have some expenditures that went over the original amount that we contracted for. We've been in conversation with the state agency. They said that for us to go ahead and voucher them. So in order to close the year, what I'm asking for here is that we can increase the revenue to cover where these expenditures went over. So that encapsulates this budget transfer, which I know is rather lengthy. But if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Mr. Shipley?
Thank you. Of the three items that are, that you're looking to, for the funds from the, I assume this is 2023 contingency.
Yes.
How much is left in the contingency item to start with?
That's a great question. I had 90,000 left in contingency, and after
Use about half.
these three items, we'll have 38,000 left. Correct.
Down there.
Yep.
Getting down there.
This is just for
Any other questions?
This is for 2023. That's right.
When are we gonna draw the line in the sand and be done with 23, do you think?
Hopefully very soon.
For the audit.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and
Gonna have to be.
so Supervisor Partee and I met this last week and discussed the fact that with her being gone at NISAC this next month, we're planning to work on our fund balance policy, as well as work on our year-end presentation of the year-end figures, and want to bring that to the next committee round. And at that point, we should be closed, and also then working on the AUD, or now is called the AFR, which the state is revamped, so that we're hopefully on target to make those deadlines.
Any other questions?
We will be on target to make the deadlines.
Okay. Number 2, Board of Supervisors authorize the amendments of the 2023 Seneca County budget.
Support. Second.
Second. Support and seconded. Anything you want to say on it, Helly?
I did just go through that, Supervisor Brownell, so I think we're ready to offer for a vote.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Any unfinished business? Any new business? New or unfinished?
New.
Okay.
Thank you. I did send an email to the committee a while, or probably 2 weeks ago regarding ARPA funding. And I would just like to put it out there and actually, go public and put it on the record and say, listen, we have a bunch of projects that we're looking down the barrel of that are going out to bid. We have things coming down. We have the mental health move. We've got hopefully the new 911, and we certainly have to do something with County Highway. ARPA funding is getting dwindled down, and we keep throwing out these little amounts here, little amounts there. I'm asking that we take a step back and kind of hold off on ARPA funding projects until we know what these bids come in and we know what projects we're going to do. And then after that, I would like to take the remaining ARPA funds and allocate them so that we're not doing this piecemeal. We know we have projects out there. We know we have to come up with engineering for the county highway building. We know the economic development is going to need some. We want to keep funding Grow Seneca. So I'm just asking that the board take a hard look at where we're spending this ARPA money and at least hold off until we see what these bids come back for the projects that are going out to bid to know what we can and can't fund depending on how we vote. I'm not asking for any action. I'm just throwing it out there that I think it's important that we take a good hard look at this, and I think we would be smart to take the remaining and allocate it, so we know where it's going. So it's not just sitting there. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, Mike, how much we have left in the
I was
ARPA
just
fund?
gonna ask that.
Now, depending on the number, and Haley, I
under
believe
2
it's
million.
1.7, 1.9?
She's coming.
Well, based on current allocations that have already been approved, we're at 1.9. Now, with tonight's two resolutions that are out there for the Ovid Courthouse, which included another $50,000 for the ADA bathrooms and another $64,000 for the cupola, that would bring it down to 1.8.
Haley,
That would be still available.
So do these include the Office of the Aging move already?
Office of the Aging's been funded at 1.1 at this point, yes.
Until the bids come in.
Right.
So mental health hasn't been funded, right?
No, not at this point, not yet. But there is some funding that mental health may have available separate from ARPA. I did want to let you know while I'm here that the Grow Seneca, we did distribute $60,000 of the first round went out this week.
Thank you.
How many approved applications for that?
I believe it's around like 26 maybe, somewhere in there.
26 total?
Yep.
Hey,
So that's about half of it used then.
Anything else for Ways and Means?
Mr. Chairman, just a similar question. Haley, would you, not right now, it's a new question, but would you be able to characterize the ARPA funds that have been spent in terms of, let's say, I'm going to be facetious here, things that we should have paid for over time and reserved for versus, let's say, things that are economic development oriented? In other
Okay.
words, things that have a return on the investment? Is that too loose of a charge to?
I don't have the answer for you tonight,
No,
but I
I
can certainly, we can put
Totally
that
get it, because I know it's
together.
something like
We can
the
look at that.
ARPA chair and I have looked at, and again, and we've talked about it, is this, I'm very frustrated that we're not looking at, it. I think Supervisor Trout had mentioned it earlier, that there's some things that have happened decades ago, and we're into this kind of thing, and I'm concerned that we've not spent enough ARPA funds on things that have a return in terms of economic development, tourism, taxes, all those types of things. And so it would at least be good to know if we could categorize, and Haley, use your best judgment of what you think, if you were, maybe there's a third category too, I'm not sure, but does that make sense?
Sure.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anything else at this time?
The money failed.
Now we find adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Money already failed.
Thank you, and that concludes our committee meetings.
Mr.
Everybody
Chairman?
have a good night. Oh,
I neglected under public safety. I just wanted to congratulate Melissa on her accreditation. I know we'll probably do it at the board meeting, but I just thought it was worthy of noting. It was a great job, Melissa. Thank you.
thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Shut up, Kraut. We're all still here.